I'm going to talk about the central lesson the Course was sent to teach. There is no world. At lesson 132, I loose the world from all I thought it was. He states, there is no world. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach. Not everyone is ready to accept it, and each one must go as far as he can let himself be led along the road to truth. He will return and go still farther, or perhaps step back a while and then return again. There is no world is not a new idea. It wasn't born with the Course. The Course uses the Father, the Son, Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit, language from the Judeo-Christian religions and traditions, but its actual content is closer to Eastern spiritualities and religions. So there is no world. That idea can be found in other writings and in other paths. I'm going to read a section from the Ribhu-gita, and I'm going to read a section from the Garland of Guru's Sayings, otherwise known as Garuva Shakakovai, by Sri Marunganar. So I'll start with the Ribhu-gita. And though I have read the Ribhu-gita many times, I still don't know entirely where it originated, but I believe it's thousands of years old. It was originally published in Sanskrit. And in any event, it far precedes the Course in Miracles. So I'm just going to take a little bit of chapter 21 in the Ribhu-gita on topic of the definition of Brahman. Again and again, I say unto you the highest truth. Anything apart from the self is unreal indeed. There is no word for unreality. Reality being ever existent, there is no word for it. I shall declare the definition of the self for one eager for Brahma, practice of Brahman. I shall speak of it immediately with an auspicious beginning. All is Brahman. I indeed am only consciousness. There is nothing else. I indeed am the supreme Brahman. I am also the consciousness self. There is nothing as I or mine. There is nothing as my being a wise man. I am pure. I am of the nature of Brahman. I am bliss. I am unborn. I am uncreated. I am immortal. I am perpetual. I am the totally supreme. I am devoid of qualities and absence of qualities. I am the essence of the fourth state and the other than the fourth. I am devoid of space and the absence of space. I am of the nature of the essence of knowledge and ignorance. I am devoid of time and timelessness. I am devoid of the acquired, the unacquired, and the like. I indeed am myself. I indeed am myself without interstitious, and I am also not with interstitious. I am permanent. I am without a goal. I am the self. I am the perfectly full. So maybe that's not totally accessible language, but the meaning of all in Brahman is that the truth is only consciousness. There are not many. There is only Brahman. There is only consciousness. You are not the self you identify with. And that is the point of the Ribhu-gita. You are not the self you identify with. And it repeats it over and over and over again in brief stanzas in various chapters. And then we have the Garland of Guru's Sayings by Sri Marunganar. And I'm going to read from page 73, Freedom from Bondage. Decay and disappearance of the false illusion that the body is oneself. This alone is the true blissful sovereignty of the self. The sole common lesson taught by all the branches of all faiths is this, the ego's end. From ignorance of the self comes birth. Only true awareness, which dispels the dark illusion that the five sheaths are oneself, can bring freedom from attachment and so end birth and death. Great knowers recognize no other bondage than the rising movements of the mind, and they find true release nowhere but in the total death, leaving no trace behind of every movement of the mind. The separate self is but the mind, drunk with and reeling under the notion that it is bound. This very mind, when it stands steady, still desiring nothing and proud of nothing, becomes the self supreme. So both of these books talk about the fact that there's no world, that it's an illusion. It's just something that has, by belief, has kept the mind in bondage. Now, that kind of translates into the Course in the sense that they have the same central premise. What the Course does that those paths don't do is provide a motivation for and a mythology about what gave rise to the world in the first place and steps to get out. The Course itself says there are some who practice meditation, and 50 years of meditation will help them reach the goal of awareness of truth. And others will deny themselves bodily pleasures, and eventually they'll reach it too. The Course is not either one of those ways. It's not about denying the body anything, and it's not about meditation. It is about looking at exactly what we made, and what is the price we paid, and what is the price we're still paying. And so that is a difficult process. First, because we are told there's no world, there's no place in our minds to hear that. At least initially, it's a shocking statement to be made because all of our senses report a world. But definitely when you hear there's no world, you get an idea that this is a very different path. It is not a path about making the world a better place. It's not about a path of fixing the world in any way. It's about perceiving the problem exactly where it is and looking at what we do to perpetuate the idea in our own minds that we are separate. We are separate from everything. So aside from the fact that the Course resonates with us and it's our path and we believe it's true, we could talk a little bit about why we want it to be true. If it's not true and God made the world and made us be born in it, then God would be cruel or crazy or both, because of the extraordinary and agonizing amount of suffering that goes on. So when we say the world is a projected image of the contents of our mind, we're saying that is the pain we're in. That is the sense of doom we're in. We have projected out something horrible because we've believed and accepted something horrible in our minds. We understand projection at the level of the world. I don't like something I'm feeling, so I'm going to see it in somebody else instead of me. So maybe I would say, so-and-so, you're very angry. I can tell you're really angry. Well, what would happen is I would become angry, but I don't want to accept that in myself. So what I don't want to accept in myself, I project out and see it outside of me. Because I can't, it's a way the mind is trying to get rid of it, get rid of something unpleasant it doesn't like. I don't like feeling guilty, so I'm going to see guilt outside of me. Everyone in this world walks the world feeling guilty. And whether or not anyone is aware of it is based on how willing they are to look within and see what's happening there. We can't escape it because the foundation of the world is an idea of guilt, a thought of guilt. I took something. I took something from God, destroyed heaven. I turned my back on God and destroyed heaven. I am denying him right now and living my life. So however you want to hold it in your mind, whether it's I accepted the idea of separation, or I destroyed heaven, or I denied the truth. All of those mean the same thing. The truth is going on uninterrupted by anything we believe. Thoughts cannot destroy truth. Denial can put it out of our minds. So when we deny the truth, its opposite arose. And the opposite of the truth, which is amazing in its loveliness, in its joy, in its beauty, in its wholeness, in its love, when we deny that, we experience the opposite of those things. That's what's in our minds. Hatred, murder, sin, guilt, and fear. It's always the same story. If you deny the truth and the truth is love, you feel that you experience its opposite, hatred, until you deny the denial of truth. How do we do that? The Course sets forth rules for decision making. It explains exactly what seems to be happening. how the world arose, what we believe we are, what we believe other people are, and how that is all insane. And more importantly, to get us to change our mind about it, it reminds us time and again, it doesn't make us happy. There are other paths that talk about the illusion. The world is an illusion, it's illusory. Maya is something that it's referred to, which I believe is the same word as illusion. I'm not really doing any kind of comprehensive comparative religion here. I just want to make the point that the idea that the world isn't real and there is another reality that we have pushed out of our awareness, and our goal is to bring that back into awareness, is ancient. It's not a new idea. I think it can be very difficult upon first hearing those words to even give it any credence at all. Why even go further with it? Well, somewhere inside of us, we know nothing works here. This world is a series of problems and tasks and heartache, and nothing here lasts that even feels positive. And so that is the firm foundation from which we can say, there must be another way. I want to know the other way. Because the pathways of the world aren't going to get me where I want to be. They're not going to bring me happiness, not lasting happiness. They will not bring me the eternal. I don't feel closer to God when I chase after things in the world. I feel a sense of urgency and anxiety. We need that impetus to open the door to our minds so we can say, it is possible. It is possible, if not likely. I am wrong about everything. Everything. That is throwing wide open the door for the Holy Spirit, Jesus, God, for another voice to be heard within us, not the voice that has spoken to us our whole lives, not the voice that decided what the truth was about everything. We silence that voice and we listen for another voice, that small, still voice that knows where it belongs and longs to go home. And when we listen to that voice, we can experience a reflection of who we really are, of who God really is, and the love that is our reality. I like to close with kind of an uplifting quote, but I did not prepare anything before this. This was kind of impromptu. So I found that the last sentence of almost every chapter is almost every section is usually a beautiful expression of the truth. Okay, so we were talking about the cause of the world, and it's just this idea that we've accepted that isn't the truth. So I'm going to read two sections, one from Reversing Effect and Cause. I'm going to read a small section, and then I'm going to read a small section from The Present Memory. Nothing at all has happened but that you have put yourself to sleep and dreamed a dream in which you were an alien to yourself and but a part of someone else's dream. The miracle does not awaken you, but merely shows you who the dreamer is. It teaches you there is a choice of dreams while you are still asleep, depending on the purpose of your dreaming. Do you wish for dreams of healing or for dreams of death? A dream is like a memory in that it pictures what you wanted shown to you. So that is very powerful. The miracle establishes you dream a dream and that its content is not true. It's very powerful to suddenly see where our true power lies, because moving about in the world in our clay houses does not give us a feeling of power. And it does seem like the pathways of the world are all that's offered to us. But that is not true. That is part of the lie. So what has been lost to see the causeless not? And where is sacrifice when memory of God has come to take the place of loss? What better way to close the little gap between illusions and reality than to allow the memory of God to flow across it, making it a bridge an instant will suffice to reach beyond? And so in order to do that, we need to withdraw our beliefs and ideas from that gap. For God has closed it with himself. His memory has not gone by and left a stranded son forever on a shore where he can glimpse another shore that he can never reach. His Father wills that he be lifted up and gently carried over. He has built the bridge, and it is he who will transport his son across it. Have no fear that he will fail in what he wills, nor that you be excluded from the will that is for you. Thanks for listening.